Hey, we're Saints. Father Chris here. Got the whole team. Welcome to our crucifixion live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people with us. That's Deacon Gregory. Welcome.
Hi.
They're Aaron and Christian.
Hi.
Wow. We're coming to you today, like not abruptly, but like spur of the moment, sporadically, spontaneously, because
It's a breaking news world exclusive.
aliens, baby, aliens. All right, so I'm going to set the backdrop. So here's the key for all of our watchers. Not the watchers from the Book of Enoch.
Which kind of watchers?
Those who are watching this
The
podcast.
Nephilim.
So we didn't really get into this very much, as far as doing research, because it just dropped that aliens. Okay, so I'm kind of a little bit upset in this whole thing. The White House or the government, the Department of War, or whatever, released a bunch of, not all. They're saving the best for last, I'm sure, but they've released some stuff that talks about UFO is gone. Like, you know how the language changes and you can't say these words anymore? We can no longer say UFO.
Yeah, it's offensive.
Yeah, it is. We now say UAP, which means an unidentified anomalous phenomena. So
Phenomena.
yeah, so let's watch some of these clips. Aaron, play these clips for us.
This is a world exclusive right here. So let's go to the first clip. Over the skies of the United Arab Emirates in June 2024, an inverted teardrop with a vertically linear trailing mass, as described by the War Department, suspended below. The War Department cannot say for sure what this is. It is officially listed as an unresolved UAP report. The next video, over the skies of Iraq, December 2022, moving bottom left to top right of the field of view. All CENTCOM gets from this is an area of contrast. That's what they describe it as. It is officially still listed as an unresolved UAP report. Next video, over the skies of Greece, October 2023, what is described as a small and circular UAP flying near the surface of the ocean towards land. CENTCOM can't tell us what it is. It is officially listed as an unresolved UAP report. Within the last 2 minutes, all of these videos have gone live on war.gov/UFO, and a White House official tells Fox First, while past administrations sought to discredit or dissuade the American people, President Trump is focused on providing maximum transparency to the public, who can ultimately make up their own minds about the information contained in these files.
You saw the one over the UAE where it's like this little circle with trailing danglies.
Yeah. I think that one's my favorite because it just looks like an it's described as an inverted teardrop.
But it's a jellyfish.
But it looks like a jellyfish,
Danglies.
which is really fun because there's like a villain in Superman that actually has the same thing, which means that Superman was based in reality.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Then there's the other one I loved, which was from the bottom left corner to the top right corner in Iraq, this little thing going. But it was nice because they red circled it for us, because otherwise I wouldn't have seen it.
That's because otherwise it would have looked like a drone or a bird or something like that. But it wasn't a bird. It wasn't a plane. It was a UAP.
It was a UAP.
It was a UAP, not in the UAE. This one was in Iraq.
That was clever.
Thank you.
Nicely done there.
Thank you.
Then that was that one that they just said in Greece, whatever it was in Greece.
Yeah. They had
What the
it
heck was
circled.
that?
I couldn't see it.
Nothing flies in Greece, man. Let's
But
be honest.
to be fair, I really can't ever tell which part on an ultrasound is the head of the baby, and which 3 kids later, I still don't know what's going on. So I couldn't see it.
So here's what prompted all of it, which you can see just I'm sure, Aaron, you found a lot of headlines out there that talk about it too, but like, pastors warned, now that there's aliens, faith is gone. Pastors warned, churches will plummet. What else did they say?
A crisis of faith.
Crisis of faith.
Yeah, many pastors are even saying that they were briefed by the White House that this was going to drop, and so they need to prepare their congregations for a crisis of faith.
Were you briefed by the White House?
Trump did not call me.
They did not call me. The Faith Commission of the White House did not call me to brief me about the faith being gone.
Where was the memo?
I don't know, but like I kind of feel left out now.
You should.
I'm going to file a grievance.
We should file a formal complaint.
So let's talk about, aliens, real, not real. What impact should they have on faith, if any? One of them, one of the headlines I saw, and I'll paraphrase it poorly, forgive, but was something to the effect of basically like, Bible truths will now be, abolished or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, it will now refute the biblical record.
And pastors have now been warned, as though like they're coming after us. They're coming after faith. It's going to be something that is now going to be attacked. Pastors, be warned. Faith is going to be in crisis because we have now released this video. Pastors, be warned. The aliens are coming in the middle of the night to your chair. Like it reads and sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
In the sense that I don't think it has anything. I don't think we have to be worried.
Well, that's the question.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real question, right? So I'm going to start by taking the position that I don't believe in aliens.
Okay.
All right. Now, I will say, all joking and kidding aside, if we were to actually see aliens, for sure, like it actually, we found other life forms, it wouldn't bug me, right? As long as it wasn't like Independence State. Don't come here and mess with us. But like, it doesn't bug me. And I'm going to take the position, there's no aliens. I don't mind changing, but I'm just being feisty today. So, with that being said, does it make a difference if we find aliens?
I'm going to take the position that I don't care if there are aliens, because it shouldn't affect my faith. It doesn't like if everything that we're talking about all of the time about Scripture being a who book, not a how book. It wasn't the idiot's guide to creation, right? Like it's something that's teaching us who created the world. So aliens don't really affect how I understand Genesis or understand anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do people, I mean, in your estimation, we were talking about it a minute ago, Christian. I mean, do people take licks at Christians, and what are some of the licks they take?
All over the place, and I think they should. I mean, as Christians, we don't give ourselves always the very best picture of what the book is actually saying. And so it's out in the culture that Christians, well, we believe that this happened on the first day, this happened on the second day, that Genesis is some creation book. Which, okay, but if we're taking everything literally, then everybody out there who's not a Christian is also going to... The one that comes to mind is Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And no offense to Dr. Tyson, he's very smart and he does his things within his field. But when he looks at Christianity, he sees, I think, a nice religion and whatever, and kumbaya that puts me to bed. It's great. But he doesn't believe that stuff. So when he looks at us and he says, oh, the Christians believe that the world was created in 7 days. And then if you look at the fossils and the way that the waves on the rocks and whatever, obviously the world wasn't created in 7 days. So the Christians are insane.
Right.
And so we take the approach that it's like, oh, if the Christians have one thing disproved in this book, the whole thing is out.
Yeah.
And he loves talking about aliens. So it's like, yeah, these guys are crazy.
Is he in that alien camp? He believes in aliens?
I'm not going to speak for Dr. Tyson, but certainly the things that I would see, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's having a field day with this.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because he is, and I don't know him personally, and I've not watched a lot of his stuff, but just based on this, and I've seen enough of him to know that he's as big a culprit for poor reading of Scripture as those whom he criticizes, right? So, like, first of all, that statement that, well, Christians, and some Christians read Scripture literally, right? Like where they're looking at the Genesis creation account in chapter 1 as a historical, documented accounting of the phenomenon of God's creation, and that it was 12,000 years ago and it was done in 7 days and blah, blah, blah. And I concur that's not what it says, right? That is not at all what it's saying, or its interest, for God's sakes. That's not what Scripture's even interested in recounting. And so when deGrasse criticizes literalists by saying it's literal, he's as bad as them, rather than realize, like us, for God's sakes, I mean, let me boast about us. We are not biblical literalists. We are biblical normalists, in the sense, hopefully we try to read normally and see. We're looking at it as the creation account, as you may alluded to, is to say that God created all this stuff. And it's not interested in giving you an historical blow by blow. Each one of those 6 days, the seventh being the day of rest at the end, each one of those 6 days of creation are very deliberate, and they are very clear at what is happening that is setting the context and the thesis for the rest of Holy Scripture. It's not about history, right? At all. It's not to say that God didn't create. Okay, I can say I'm a creationist, not in the sense of like you were talking about the 12,000 years ago, 7 days. Like, it's nonsense, right? It's up there. Don't we have it on the site?
Yes. We have a full free resource that people can go to on our homepage. It says how to read the Bible.
Right.
And you can start there and then go into the Genesis challenge.
So that's all right. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I mean, we put that up there just for cases like this, where like, let us tell you how to read Scripture, so that you don't get. I can't imagine anyone who would be up in arms over this revelation or the release of these UAPs videos. Like, it doesn't. I mean, we're not. This is not how Scripture is written, nor what it means. And so to come after us and say, we're going to use this against you, it's dumb. It just shows me that they're dumb. And I hope they do it. And I'll tell you why in my snarkiness. Because we will get more people to come to the church.
I think it will bring people to the church.
I'm curious, though, where in Scripture does it say that there aren't aliens?
I was wondering that too.
In the book of Hezekiah, chapter 17, verse 4, it says, please don't ever be duped. There are no aliens. It says it.
And verse 5 says we won't be fooled again. I think the other part of this is, as Christians who are not reading Scripture literally, as Christians who are struggling and striving to actually understand the Bible in the way that it is written, for what it is written for, to get at its intended purpose, we need to not be afraid to not be boxed in by those who are telling us how we are reading Scripture. And so, like, to your point about Dr. Tyson is reading Scripture literally, I do not need to be boxed in by his literal reading of Scripture to then put myself on the defensive. I do not need to be boxed in by a headline that says, pastors be warned, faith is going to be shaken by this revelation. I do not need to be boxed in by anyone else. I need to break out of that box. I need to get myself to the other side, and I need to go all the way so that I understand what Scripture is actually teaching me. And then after I've done that, I can be welcomed to that other side. Yeah. And if anyone wants to join us, we will welcome them to the other side.
They want to make you feel like it's the end.
Yeah.
My friend, it's not the end.
It is not the end.
It is not. And the truth of it is really like, okay, so let me say this, how it's being silly. If they're aliens, big deal. I mean, if we find them or they come visit, what's the big deal? I mean, that doesn't change anything, right? What they're trying to do, this is fear-mongering stuff too, and it's clickbaiting. It's bait clicking. I found it on the book face when I did use the Google. It's clickbaiting, and someone even I saw somewhere said, oh, because they're doing something nefarious in Iran and they're like, distract, look. You know what I mean? Like, probably. But it's clickbaity stuff that wise and intelligent people, I think, will be able to see through and realize that the reality and existence of another, group of beings or not is immaterial to our faith. God could be the source and the creator of those things. I've even heard that argument. Well, God created other worlds, and maybe there's Bibles for that world. I mean, maybe. I mean, whatever. God is God. He can do what he wants to do. It doesn't have to bug me so much. We just need to be smart enough and sharp enough to look beyond the clickbait stuff and the frenzy that they're trying to create. You know what I mean?
To the clickbait stuff, it's actually really interesting because they're even seeding our 4th of July celebrations too with some of the headlines that are going out. This one says, declassified Apollo moon docs describe unexplained mysteries, UFO lights like the 4th of July. And it has a big wavy American flag. To me, it's like they're getting ahead of some of the news stories that they want to seed for our big celebration.
Yeah.
It's going to be our 250th anniversary or celebration birthday. But it's interesting to kind of even look at it from the lens of this is clickbait, because then you start to see them getting ahead of like the other news stories they want to drop.
That's another whole world to me. That's impressive that you noticed that, E, because I mean that's your field, but like you would have thought they just would have been reporting the news. But now you make me start to think that they're planting seeds for news that they will unleash in the future, like
News is no longer news. News is now entertainment.
foreshadowing.
Alliteration.
But if it happens on Independence Day, does that alliteration that I say? I'm thinking, like, seriously, if it happens on Independence Day, is Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum gonna come and save us?
That's who's going to say, "Welcome to Earth."
Then you better hope the aliens look like Chris Rock, because Will Smith will take care of it.
Cross the line right there. Anyways, sorry, you
I've
were going to
seen
say.
more impressive alien videos too. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't even think this is the best they've got.
So what?
So
What
there's
have
gonna be
you
more.
seen?
I've seen way closer up videos. More like Tic Tac shapes.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot more that has come out leaked. It's been leaked.
That argument about the vastness of the universe, mitigating for, the only life existence on this planet. Like, that's got to, I mean, the universe is enormous, obviously, and yet infinitesimal. Like, it's amazing how all of that, the science works. And so, it's very possible, maybe even they would say probable, that there is life somewhere. Great. I mean, it's not a threatening thing. But this is just fun for them. I was looking at here's what was fascinating to me too, back to Aaron's point. I don't read the news, hardly ever. But when I saw this, I was paying attention on all those sites that I went to. I tried to hit both sides of the aisle, and, the rest of the news was kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like, Iran is there, but it was one of the top two. But the rest of the stories were like they were reaching, because it's like maybe not a very interesting news day.
Well, and they're also seeding fear too, and putting us in a place to value our military more, and perhaps want to put more money that way, because they're also saying UFO expert warns mystery craft are outmaneuvering U.S. military in restricted airspace. So they're seeding more funds going
It's
that
those little
direction.
danglies, I'm telling you.
But the reality is they haven't seen Independence Day, because Will Smith was able to tactically fly and outmaneuver the alien
It all
small
goes
craft.
Crashed into the side of the mountain.
Yeah,
And that's
remember
how
that? He was
captured
in
it.
that canyon. Yeah.
And the problem, and this is really all joking aside now, why I'm, irritated about this kind of stuff, and about the Dr. DeGrasse whatever stuff, because then it creates this weird frenzy where people are going to start. You're going to hear it. I'm telling you. The Book of Enoch and the Nephilim. All this crap is coming back, and which we've dealt with, and we have stuff. I mean, if people knew what Enoch in Scripture was actually about, and not like these, clowns that are putting this stuff out there, it makes so much more sense. That's why they have to go to the academy and get that Genesis class, because like we explain Enoch.
We went directly into head-to-head with Anna Paulina's interview with Joe Rogan in one of our episodes, where she's talking about this Nephilim stuff, and we just debunked it completely. And that's her main source of text. Like, that's what she's using to justify.
Yeah, and it's that kind of stuff is a
existence.
joke. We talked about that in our class on Genesis, just a very high level, because I think it's important. People look at Nephilim and they imagine giants and so on, and there are other, verses in Scripture which talks about, the giants and so on. The word Nephilim in Hebrew comes from the root nafal, which means falling. It means those about to fall. And so the nemesis of Scripture is kingship, right? And so in the previous chapter, it ends, the first Enoch, right, with Cain and Abel, after Cain kills his brother. It tells Cain's lineage, and his son is Enoch. And Enoch, his line ends in Lamech, which is a metathesis for the king. The very next chapter, chapter 5 of Genesis, we see Enoch the second. And this one was good because he walked with God, and he never dies. And then it goes into chapter 6, because men had become so wicked, and the Nephilim were in the lands, and people are like, oh, the giants. No, it's about those about to fall. And what happens immediately after in chapter 6? God destroys everything in the flood, right? He doesn't destroy, he starts over. He preserves Noah and his sons and their wives and two of all the animals. Like, the idea here is it's not about giants, but stupid people, it talks about giants. No, it's talking about God squashing kingship, because he alone is the sole king. And it's told through the story of Enoch. You see it in the Enoch, and it ends in the Nephilim. Fall, people. It means to fall down. God is going to make them fall down. The hubris, the arrogance, the power hungriness of kingship is about to be thrust under the waters. Anyways.
Preach.
I did. Sorry. I got hot.
It was good.
Sweating a little bit.
But the reality is, we need that message living in a world where Burger King has changed its advertising to tell us that we're the king. And then as the king, we're going to just go wherever they're telling us. That doesn't make us the king. That actually makes us followers who are about to just keep chasing after more and more. And this stuff is really aimed at dividing, because the more that you keep people divided, the more you're able to control them.
Yeah.
And so the more that this stuff gets out there and releases, because it becomes a hot button topic, it becomes an intentionally placed advertisement within the news for all of this stuff that will just continue to rip people apart, because everyone's going to argue whether or not aliens exist. Right. And it just keeps it pushing.
They play on a base need and desire from people. Like some of the, and maybe even the most successful movies of all time are the Marvel movies that we just, and they're all super demigod, superhero type of, you know what I mean? That need for otherness, otherworldliness, mysticalness. I mean, he is a god, for heaven's sakes. You know what I mean? In the Norse mythology. Even Iron Man is somewhat divine in the sense of like he's flying, he's got lasers coming out of his eyes and his arms, and you know what I mean, and on it goes. And Spider-Man, and what's the witch's name? Wanda, all that stuff. I mean, everyone loved those movies. I enjoyed them. I mean, let's be honest, but it's that desire. Why that desire for otherworldliness, to see that, the power of the Ubermensch type of stuff, not to be too Nietzschean, but and now all of a sudden here come aliens, and they're playing on that desire with, as you said, coupling it with fear that they're going to come and destroy us. Which we don't know that they're going to come
to destroy us.
Yeah, that's the other.
It's demonic. I mean, Trump's ratcheted up all that type of language. I think he has like a spiritual advisor now too, that's supposedly a demon slayer. There's all sorts of
really,
yeah. There's all sorts of great things out there.
I want to be a demon slayer.
I want to know what that means. I want to well, I'm an exorcist.
Yeah, you are.
Mm-hmm.
You are.
You exercise a lot.
I do exercise a lot, but I've also done countless exorcisms of demons. So, yeah.
You do.
All right.
There it is.
In the baptisms, we do that. So we do. We do an exorcism. It may not be movie-like, but we believe in that, right? Nobody's head went all the way around, and no green vomit.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Anyways, I don't know. I just thought it was a fun topic to go after, simply
Agreed.
because whether or not, I guess we can all wrap it up with this, but whether or not there is an alien race or multiple is fine. It is what it is. We will know when we know, right? And to be honest with you, in my cynicism, the government producing video footage is not enough to convince me, because I trust none of that stuff. I see it. I'm in. But it doesn't change our faith, and it doesn't threaten our faith. And because our faith is not written to detail historical, the Bible in particular, right? We're talking about isn't written to detail an historical account that is now going to be refuted because there is another, race. Like we said, you brought it up, Christian. It doesn't even say in the Bible. It's not even interested in that kind of a conversation.
I thought that was a great point too, because part of this is also, it's distraction, yes, and it's fun headlines, but also it has you looking outside of the Bible for authority on your religion, and anytime you start to do that, you get into dangerous waters.
Very well said. That's excellent. Well, that's another one. Yeah. So I think ultimately we could wrap it here. We don't need to be worried about aliens if they exist. It doesn't refute the Christian faith. It doesn't change Jesus Christ's victory over death on the cross. That doesn't change, right? He is still the Lord and Lord of Lords and the King of Kings. It doesn't change anything, and maybe we'll have to have a new kind of evangelists. Those to evangelize the aliens, because he died for them too. I'm going to hell. I love you. Hope everyone's well. Have a great night. Keep walking on the way of the warriors. Hey.